fund. This is something that Farm Bureau started working on about 2 years ago, and it started just like those resolutions that Carl just presented. There were some producers, mostly there was a couple of big grain elevator failures in Northeast Texas. These producers had delivered grain to these elevators, and some of the elevators had actually sold the grain already. The elevators went under, and many of the producers, I think it was about 125 producers, many of them never saw any of the money for the grain that they delivered, and consequently some of those producers are no longer producers. But anyway, they brought it to our attention, and we ran it through our policy development process, and the idea was a grain indemnity fund, totally producer funded, and we did it that way, and then we got it passed by the legislature in 2011. I'm sure John Kemple remembers that. But now it comes for a producer vote. So, in a nutshell, if you produce corn, grain sorghum, wheat, or soybeans in the last 3 years, you are eligible to vote. Ballots will be available at the extension office. And I don't know exactly when the ballots will be available. I do know the voting period is November 19th through December 7th. I think that's a postmark time period. But if anybody, Zach, you don't know exactly when the ballots are going to be available to you. Anyway, I'm sure we can find that out, call the county office. But the ballots will be available at the extension office, and any producer, and if someone votes that didn't produce, when those things go back to TDA, the ballots, they'll certify it. So if someone votes that didn't produce grain in the last 3 years, your ballot will be thrown away. So make sure you did produce one. They said that you produced one of those 4 products in the last 3 years. Again, it's something that we think is good. It's totally producer funded. It's 1/2 of 1%. And that's a rough figure, that's not exact, but it's about 1/2 of 1% of the value of your product. The money will go into a fund. It's produced, the fund has 7 or 9 members. One of our state directors, Charles Ray Huddleston, from Northeast Texas, is on the board, as are other producers from the corn growers, the sorghum people. We have somebody on from the elevator organizations. So they will control the fund. The money will go in the fund. If someone delivers grain to an elevator that goes under, you don't get paid for your grain, you'll be able to collect 90% of the value of the grain. Not 100%, but 90% is a whole lot better than nothing. So anyway, that's kind of it in a nutshell. I'm sure that we can get more info if you want to know more info. But we think it's pretty important. Those producers in Northeast Texas got hurt pretty bad. And anyway, so just keep an eye out for that. We'll probably try to get something in the paper too. But I wanted to kind of explain it tonight. So are there any questions on it? Otherwise, I'd be glad to answer them afterward, or call the office and they can get a hold of them. Thank you, Irvin.